Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Name Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Acharya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Sri Guru Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's evening Srimad Bhagavad Gita session. For all of you who are there online, it'd be very good if you can within the next half an hour or so come here, because we have special Mahaprasadam from Mayapur. So much about being present in person, as usual. Okay, so today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. Wait, that's what I opened, but we are from 6th chapter. 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, titled Dhyana Yoga, text 36. What was mentioned in text 35? That you people have been going on through the verses while I wasn't here, or what was going on? Or they were giving different topics, or what? Who was here last time? Anyone? No one? Anyway, okay, nobody is responding, so. Yeah, I didn't give last. Assumption, Mahabaho, Manadunigram, Chalama, Vyasina, Tukonte, Vairagina, Chakriyate. I didn't give this. I didn't speak on that verse. Yeah, people have been going forward. Yeah, you skipped so much. I mean, skipped. Didn't leave for me anything. Oh, Pastor, so many verses. Okay. Anyway, so that's all covered. Almost 6 chapters over. Huh? 32, that's where I stopped. Yeah, but his place 36. I speak to him right now. He said 32. But then why is it 36? Who is managing this? Okay, I'll do 32. So as far as I remember, we talked about mind. We talked about the ways to have mind focused, concentrated for the sake of higher consciousness. It's okay. So in this verse we have now, let's see. Atma uppanyena sarvatra samam pashyati or arjuna sukham vayadi vadukham sayogi paramo mataham. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is a perfect yogi who by comparison to his own self sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. O Arjuna. Purport. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God, and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Such the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious. He is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nacha tasma manusheshu kaschin me priyakritama. Bhagavad Gita 1869. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who is withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurulithamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshta Bhutale Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharana Visheshna Adi Paschati Vishatana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Bhaktivedanta Shri Sri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Atma Uppanyena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Arjuna Sukham Nivayadiva Dukham Sayogi Paramataham. Okay, so here in this verse, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna this system of yoga, pointing out who is a perfect yogi. He talks about yoga here, and he's going to conclude with his conception of who is the best type of yogi. Yogi nama pisarve shamat gatinantaratmana shvadavan vajate omam samhem yukta tamo mataham. He's going to say definitely one has to be a yogi. So some kind of yogi. What does it mean, yogi? What does it mean being a yogi? What does it mean? What it means to practice yoga? Yes?
Always satisfied and determined.
No. What does it mean to be a yogi? Doesn't mean that he's always satisfied and determined and whatever. Yes?
So one has control over the senses.
One who has control over the senses. Maybe there's so many people who are having control over the senses. Hiranyakashipu also had his control over his senses. He wasn't a yogi.
Prabhuji, may I?
In that sense, what means yogi?
So the literal meaning of yoga is addiction.
Where's your hand? You have a hand? Hands? Yeah. Minor detail. Yeah.
The literal meaning of yoga is addition. Addition.
Addition?
The
No,
literal
that's
meaning-
not what we are looking. And is that a literal meaning? Wait a second.
Prabhu, a perfect yogi is one who is 24/7 involved in the devotional service.
Okay, that's the ultimate perfection. Let's come a little down. Something in the beginning. Wait a second. Yes.
Meditate.
He's doing meditation. Fine. Yes, somebody who is attempting to perform meditation. That's a dharana stage. Okay. Yes, dhyana. Dharana.
Who knows their relation with Krishna.
One who knows relationship with Krishna. Well, that's already a bhakti yoga. That's too proficient. That's too perfectional. In general sense, what means yoga?
Yoga means addiction.
Where is your hand?
Addiction.
I didn't call upon you now.
One who is detached from.
One who is that's okay. These are called. Okay, Gaurav, enlighten everyone.
Connected.
Connected. Yoga means connection. That's like English huge, no? Yoga. To reconnect. Same like religion. Religare in Latin language. Religion comes from that word. Religare means reconnect. There was connection, it was lost. Now it's reconnected, or you're supposed to be connected. That's what means yoga. So yoga is the one who is supposed to reconnect himself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to Krishna. That's what yoga means. So Krishna is talking about all different types of, or levels. I mean, no, not all, but some basic ones. He talks about yoga, qualifications of yoga practice, and therefore who is a yogi. So that's very good. I mean, how many people nowadays want to become connected to Krishna? Very few now. Hardly anyone nowadays considers yoga. If at all, then that yoga is misused for the purpose of some kind of bodily fitness, no? Bodily betterment, because when one is so drained of his sense gratification, and because of his sense gratification, then they look for some yoga to restore the body to a certain level again, so that they can again, misuse that very same body for some kind of gratificatory, activities. So that's not real purpose of yoga. That's why in Chaitanya Charitamrita, of course, India, it's kind of known as the land of yoga, and it's, there's a lot of advertisement going on, yoga this, yoga that. But we should really understand what yoga means. Yoga is not just for bodily betterment. Of course, one who is practicing yoga, he'll definitely have a better health, better mindset, better so many better things, but one should not misuse it. There's the ultimate purpose of yoga. Yoga is the process of ashta angas, that means 8 limbs. It's not just, first few, yam, niyam, asan, pranayam. It's not only yoga, but it goes further all the way till samadhi. Pratyahara, dhyan, dharan, samadhi. That's what is yoga. That's really yoga. What is that samadhi? It's complete full absorption into the absolute. That's what's yoga. It's not just, for some mental or physical benefits. And that's mostly what nowadays people take yoga to be. It's just for that. And then it's a misuse, and it actually gives a lot of negative conceptions or misconceptions and connotations about what really yoga is. And people really lose the essence of the yoga practice, which is to know God. This is what it is. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yoga is a black snake. Pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. As I said, you're all so excited about hearing what is yoga and how to practice yoga, but in its really perverted form, it's just like a black snake. It may be very attractive, but it's very dangerous. That's in its misuse state. So that's what we have to understand what yoga is really meant for. It's meant to connecting us to the absolute, not for our misconceptions and having some kind of well-fitted body so that we can gratify it in so many different ways after practicing yoga process. That's not what it's meant for. So we have to understand yoga is meant for connecting us again back to the absolute, which connection we lost. That's what yoga is meant for. So Krishna is talking, definitely one should be a yogi, and we don't see such kind of yogis a lot. It's very rare. But then again, he says, so being a yogi, it's pretty good. It's a progressive path. It's a progressive path. But those who are endeavoring even higher than just for their own personal benefit, those are even greater. And then he explains this is what is bhakti. As we said, yoginam apisayusham madgatinam atmana shadavan bhajate, bhajate, what means bhajate means to perform devotional service. And then what Krishna says, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. So is Krishna's opinion worthy or not? Is Krishna's opinion important or not? If it's not, why would we be hearing and reading and studying Bhagavad Gita? Then anybody can write his own Bhagavad Gita. No? What is the difference then? Why would an Arjuna also listen to these instructions? So his opinion is very important because he is what? He is Yogeshwar, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. He is ultimate Ishwar of the yoga practice, no? So he knows what he's talking about. And he sets the principles, he sets the rules. He explains what the yoga is. And he gives ultimately the result of any yoga practice. Without that, you don't get a result. Without Krishna's sanction, without Krishna's mercy, you won't get a result. You may do whatever you want. You can do Shirshasana, you can do this asana, any asana, put yourself any way you want. You can press your nose in so many different ways also. You can do whatever you want. You may not get a result if Krishna doesn't allow it. Yeah. It's not going to happen. So Krishna is the ultimate sanctioner of all the activities. So unless we please Krishna and we really follow the process the way he has given it, then we won't really get much benefit. Then it's going to be just like a black snake, It's very poisonous, dangerous black snake. It's pretty heavy. Strong analogy, but to the point, to make us understand what the yoga is. So definitely one has to be a yogi in any sense. But one has to understand the ultimate goal of yoga. Everything in the scriptures is explained in terms of our relationship, in terms of activities that one should perform within it, and then the goal has to be very clear. So if we are not clear about the goal, then what we are doing? What we are doing? Why would we practice yoga then if we are not clear about what the goal of that yoga is? If we just think it's meant for healthy body and sensual enjoyments, then we are wrong. Then we will be very disappointed also. We won't be able to maintain that kind of body, because we know body in every sense is going to fall apart. And it's also going to contaminate our mind and mislead us about any future existence. So that's why one has to be very clear what is the process of yoga. That's why Krishna explains it here. It's very interesting. Krishna, or let's say better, I think it's Krishna even, he's talking in to Uddhava. It's 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. He talks about principles of yoga there as well. So yoga process is given. All the other processes are mentioned. Sankhya is mentioned. So Krishna does talk about them in essential form. Essential form making us understand the purpose of it. The processes are there, but then what is the purpose of that process? That's what has to be extremely clear. And then when one is practicing, then one is very spashed, clear about the goal. No? So whenever we attain anything, then we can be very sure, is this what was supposed to be attained or not? So that's why being a yogi is important, but then that kind of yogi should also know what the essence of that yoga is. So Krishna is here pointing, yes, he's a perfect yogi. By comparison to his own self, he sees true equality of all beings. What does it mean, equality of this being? What is, who knows the verse from 5th chapter? I think it's number 16. Anybody knows this verse? Bhagavad Gita? I think it's 5:16, maybe it's 18. He sees equality of all beings. Equality, as that ringing anyone's mind, that word. Who is the true yogi? What does he see? What is he seeing? What is Krishna saying? No? Yes. Yes, Pandita Samadarshina. He sees all the living beings equally, right? Shune Chaiva Shvapake Chak, Pandita Samadarshina. He sees the elephant, he sees the cow, he sees the dog, he sees the dog eater, he sees a brahmana, whatever it is, no? He sees everyone equally. Equality, based on what? What is that equality based upon? Spirit, soul. Based upon spirit. Only on spiritual platform we are equal. In any other we are not. So many differences. So that's what's yogi's perception. He sees everybody equally based on the spirit, based on spiritual life. But then there's also here very interesting statement. It says both in their happiness and their distress. So what is that vision? That's a vision of Uttamadhikari. That's a pretty high vision there. He can make a statement as such because he sees them truly equally. That means he is having spiritual vision. And he sees them, both in their happiness and their distress. So this is now, actually it's a little mixture here. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of Uttamadhikari, who is the topmost perfected spiritual practitioner. He's on the topmost level. He doesn't distinguish anything. Just sees everything as a spiritual, as connected to Krishna. Nothing is disconnected. That's an Uttamadhikari. And he doesn't preach. We have a discussion here. Srila Prabhupada points out in the purport about somebody who is preaching this message and it doesn't. What was Srila Prabhupada's position? Was he a topmost devotee or middle or neophyte? What was his position? What would we say? Yes. But be careful not to make an offense.
Actually, he's an Uttamadhikari, but
okay, he says he's Uttamadhikari, but then why he was preaching?
Because in Uttamadhikari, he sees everyone is a devotee. But to preach, he needs to come down and see innocent atheists. To the innocent, he can preach. Prabhupada can preach.
Okay.
To Madhyamādhikari.
Okay, so Prabhupada, you may say, descended in that sense, descended, in terms of activities, not in terms of consciousness. In terms of activities to the Madhyam level. What means Madhyam? Middle, no? Middle level. What is that middle level? Middle level means he sees the demons. He can distinguish. These people are demoniac. They're not interested in spiritual life. They give so much trouble now. Always create obstacles. And then he sees those who are on equal level, who are friendly. And then he sees those who are innocent and who could be helped. And he tries to help them. He avoids the demons, he's friendly with those who are friendly towards him, and then is sharing whatever he has with those who are innocent. So it's kind of both things are mentioned here. So that somebody who is on topmost level, understanding the equality on the spiritual platform, he sees that spirit. He doesn't see the body, he doesn't see the background, he doesn't see, whatever entity, gender, this, that, whatever it might be, race, any of such kind of bodily material designations. He sees the soul. He sees the spirit. You understand this is a living being. It can be in any body. He sees that. But then he also perceives, that means he's on the level of that madhyam where he's preaching. He sees their happiness and their distress. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, what is that? What is this happiness and distress? What is the happiness and distress of a living being? Distress is in what? How we are distressed. Why we are distressed. Yes?
Forgetting Krishna.
Forgetting Krishna. Yes, that's what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. When we forget Krishna, we are in distressful condition. We'll always be in distressful condition. No matter what we try and how whatever we try to do to embellish this world and then to perfect it in any way or settle in any how or whatever we might try to do, it's just never going to happen. It's impossible. So that's why we always experiencing some kind of disappointment, we're experiencing frustration, therefore we're unhappy. Pretty much extremely unhappy, because everything is temporary. Ultimately, dukkha layam ashashvatam. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the nature of it. I want to be happy. Okay, that's great. But under which circumstances, at which place? And if that is material world, then how is it possible? It's a temporary place. Everything is in a constant flux. Do we like things being changed? Do we like things being, different than what we expect them to be? No, but this is happening. This is happening. This is the nature of this material existence. And that's why we are not happy. That's why we always experience unhappiness. No? Experience unhappiness. So he perceives that. He sees when people are separated from, God, that they're unhappy. Essentially, they're unhappy. Anyway, that's a I'll say different subject, because we don't want to discuss it now, why people are unhappy so much, but the essence is they're separated from God. Let's say, Srila Prabhupada gives a very simple analogy of a finger. If the finger is separated from the body, will it be happy and satisfied? Is there any use of that finger? No. But when it is connected to the body, then it has so much use. No? So when we are separated from the source of everything, practically, that is nourishing us, how can we be happy and satisfied? No? How is that possible? So until we reconnect back, and that's what yoga again means, reconnection, then everything is fine and perfect. So this is who is happy, and this is what yoga is perceiving. And then what he does, he tries to reconnect again that living being back to its source. And that's why you can keep on trying, doing whatever you want in this world, go to any place in this world, whichever you want to go, and try to be happy and satisfied, and it's not going to work. And it's not going to work. I said I travel worldwide pretty much, and you will find places that are just so persuading, they're so attractive, they're so, permeating with so many hopes of sensual enjoyment, and you will still not be happy there. You may be bewildered initially to some extent and for some time, but the longer you stay at any particular place, you'll realize it has its own flaws. It has its own janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, doshana, darshanam. It has its own adhyatmika, bhautika, didai. It's fascinating. This is why modern material civilization, it's very bewildering, because we think that we can be happy without God, right? It's cold, so we, adjust or create facility for heat And the thing is, why do we need, God? We can just overcome the nature's harshness or whatever it is. No. Or the other way around, when it's hot, we can have AC going on, and then, everything is so enjoyable then. Or we have so many different kinds of types of transportation, or we have so many facilities to entertain our mind, to be occupied with so much information on internet and this and that, and so much entertainment is going on. I think once I was in my father's place, I saw there was one, there were like 500 channels or something. I mean, after India, so many years, and I just saw, it's madness. It's madness. Which one you gonna watch? 500 at once, It's inconceivable. It's just, and that's actually what drives people mad. Just really your mind becomes so feeble, so useless, so disturbed and so distracted. It's amazing, because you're putting it in the mode of passion, exposing it to so many different kinds of impressions, and he has to analyze all of that. How it wouldn't be mad? No. So anyway, in such a way, we are so bewildered, we are so enamored by material civilization. We see the architecture, we see the organized system, we see clean. Maybe in the West, when you go, you see the roads are clean and everything is nice, and people are apparently following certain codes of behavior and interactions. But that's all superficial. It's all superficial. And I think, yes, this is the place I can be happy, and the climate is maybe favorable, and the place might be settled and beautiful, and whatever it might be. It's all external. It's all external. Once, as I said, one remains longer in any particular place when we realize how hellish it is, just like any other, no matter what. And even people are way more disturbed because they have way more expectation than somebody who is simple. They did these surveys. Every year, I think that they used to do surveys, which is the happiest country in the world. Which is the happiest country in the world. And all these first world countries, so to say, they come around 40 or 50. And so-called third world countries, which India is also, they come around, first few on top. 1 year Bangladesh was number one, happiest people in the world. Yeah, you may laugh, but that's a fact. They were happiest, no matter how many floods they have and this and that. They were living very simple. They were happy. Nobody had to tell them that you can't be happy unless you have a Mercedes-Benz and you have a fridge and you have this and that. No, they were happy without it. Nobody had to convince them. They are being convinced that when you have this, you will be happy. When you drink Coca-Cola, you will be happy. What's the latest advertisement of Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan or something? And try to convince you, if you have this, you're doing that, you will be happy. No, you can be happy without all of these things, even more happy than anybody else. So that's why people who are really happy, they don't have pretty much anything. And they're so simple and satisfied in their mind, way more beyond anybody else who has so many things, doesn't know what to do and what to choose. No? Big difference. So this is how we become bewildered in this material existence by so many options, practically, which are unsubstantial. They're unsubstantial. There's no substance, and therefore mind remains dissatisfied, and therefore mad, pretty much mad, looking for another experience, and another, and another, and another, and another, always being let down. So then what kind of life is that? So we become extremely bewildered, and that bewilderment is Maya. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he came to New York first time, and he went through, I think it was Broadway Street or somewhere, some like street with a lot of advertisements, a lot of shops, a lot of different kinds of offerings that were there. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly some stores and shops and whatever. And then, he just looked at that and he said, "Wow, Maya, you have really done a great job here. You really have done a great job. You really made people bewildered, thinking, yes, I can be happy. I can be happy." Who was telling me? Kanish. Kanish was telling me, he said that how people want to go to US, no? They will immigrate, huh?
Yes.
Yes. So they'll do anything and go through Mexico and Canada and something without visa, right? Just to get there, and they think it's a land of milk and honey. No, it's hellish place. It's hellish place. Anybody who had lived there, for some time, can understand how hellish it is. It just appears attractive for those who don't know what it is. That's all. It just appears, and that's what it is, Maya. That's what is Maya. I can tell we can be far more happier here than anywhere else. So that's why the yogi sees that. Yogi is not bewildered. Yogi is very clear about anyone's position. He's very clear. And he knows without Krishna, you can't be happy. You can't be happy because everything is temporary. And that means you're going to lose it, no matter how much attached you are. The more you're attached, the more you're going to suffer. The more you're attached to your body, the more you're going to suffer. The more you look at yourself in the mirror and find so many defects, you're going to suffer. So why being attached? So yogi is not attached. He's not attached. That's the whole point. Be a yogi. Be attached to your soul. Don't be attached to something that is temporary. And he can very easily perceive who is attached and who is not attached. Who is disconnected from Krishna and who is connected to Krishna. It's very clear. It's very clear for such a person. He can very easily perceive that. And that's why he's trying to help. So that's the topmost yogi, as Prabhupada explains here in the report. The topmost yogi is the one who is preaching the message of this Krishna consciousness, trying to enlighten people and tell them, this is where you're going wrong, and this is where you're missing things out. So try this formula, check it out, make an experiment, try some chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Then you see the clarity of mind, then you see the clarity of perception, then you see the clarity of what is your really position and where you're supposed to head toward. Everything becomes clear, because that's what's the purpose of my mantra, cleaning the mind, cleaning the mirror of the mind from all the dust of lust and anger and greed and madness and envy and illusion. There's no more powerful cleansing agent than Hare Krishna mantra. So that's what yogi perceives, and he tries to share, he tries to give this to everybody else, And then, as Srila Prabhupada points here, he said, Tasman Manusheshu Paschinme Kriya Vittama. What do I mean? That person who tries to mix an endeavor, just like last month, Last month, so much endeavor has been made, right, Suraj? No? You did some endeavor? Why looking behind you? I mean, Om, right? Om went to the stage. Who else went to the station? You didn't go to the station? Yeah, you did. So then, trying to give this Bhagavad Gita, trying to inspire people to take advantage of this knowledge, So much, it's so blissful actually, it's so blissful. It's challenging, but it's very blissful. Because then you feel that reciprocation that Krishna is offering to everyone. And Krishna is pleased, then you will be pleased. Like we said, the finger, like that story of fingers getting on strike, no? We're not going to feed the mouth and stomach anymore, we're going to enjoy it ourselves. How long did it last? They were tasting and squeezing and trying to enjoy. It didn't last for long. They became weak, and unhappy. And then finally, when they put it in the right place, then they were nourished themselves. So that's the whole point. That we can be rebellious as much as you want, and you can try to do anything you want. Unless you connect to Krishna and you try to satisfy Krishna, you're not going to be happy. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You're going against the laws. You're going against the nature. You're going against the Krishna who is your well-wisher. So Prabhupada says here, one who knows that Krishna is what? What is the peace formula? Which verse talks about peace formula in Bhagavad Gita? Only Om knows. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else? Hey, Kanish, don't. Cheating business. I'm saying what you're doing. Don't ask him. Listen. Anybody else? Okay, Om Bolo. Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhiram Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati one attains the peace. Who knows? Krishna is everyone's benefactor. Yeah. Source of all the demigods and all the planets on which they are, and he's the real enjoyer of all the sacrifices. So when we know this, then that means being connected to Krishna and acting according to that. And that means being happy. It just means being happy, putting that food in the right place, getting real nourishment. So as long as we are rebellious, and it's fun to be rebellious, but for how long? You may think it's a fun, okay, we rebel against Krishna. Okay, Krishna allows this. He gives us, okay, fine, do it. Be your own God in your own little sphere of whatever you consider and want to make your own kingdom or whatever else. Be it. But for how long you can do that? For how long? You don't have any resources, you don't have anything. And you have so much opposition because everybody else wants the same, wants to be the same. So then finally when we realize that, like those fingers, we have to wake up at some point. And Krishna knows it will happen in time. He doesn't have to force anybody. We will force ourselves. We'll force ourselves. But the yogis, somehow or other, Krishna will not force, but the yogis will force. Yogi sees that people suffer. Yogi sees that people are so foolish, so unfortunate, and he tries to do something about it. So that kind of yogi, it's a better yogi than who is just interested in his own deliverance. No, that one's fine. It's nice, but it's better when somebody tries to help somebody else. No, that's more appreciable. And Krishna therefore says that that person is much dearer to me because he's trying to help others. So that's the highest yoga perfection. So that's the Prabhupada concludes contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and the yogi interested only in his personal elevation, who is withdrawn to a secluded place. So that's why we are not withdrawn in a secluded place. We're right here in the middle of this hell called Mumbai. People come to Mumbai, they go, how many darshan or how many darshans are there? Wow, very nice. I don't know what the darshan is there worthy of seeing. There's nothing so interesting here in Mumbai. It's one of the worst places anywhere, Like last time these IT fellows came, from Chhattisgarh. Yeah, Mumbai, let's go here, let's go there. I mean, what are you excited about? You haven't seen Mumbai, you just hear about it. What's so interesting about it? There's nothing interesting. You go to the beach, you'll just get a heart attack how dirty it is, and how you step in the water, and it's like all the sewers of Mumbai are in, and it's like, and so anyway, we can go further and further. So what's so wonderful about it? So what a Maya, It's wonderful because Maya is here. That's the whole point. Whole Bollywood Maya is here. That's the only reason. So nobody wants to acknowledge personal experience. They just want to live a dream world, seeing sitting in front of the screens. That's all. So yogi perceives this. He sees how foolish and ignorant people unfortunately are, and he tries to elevate their consciousness, at least to whichever degree. And whatever he succeeds, that's for their eternal benefit. So nothing's ever lost. And he's also succeeding because why? That's what Krishna wants him to do. And Krishna is very happy actually. Krishna is very satisfied when you try to elevate someone's consciousness for their own benefit. Okay, we'll stop here. Any comments or questions? Yes.
So when we are connected to Krishna, disconnected Krishna.
When we are connected to Krishna?
That is good thing. So when we are connected to Krishna, we are peaceful, happy.
Okay, when we are connected, we are peaceful,
we are
happy, yes.
Because it is not that always we are being connected.
Okay, so sometimes we are also disconnected.
And in that moment also we know that all this philosophy, everything, still we are in one. Still we
Okay, even when we know philosophy, but practically we are not connected, no, like that?
we act in Maya.
We act in Maya. So what's the question?
So then what would be the name in this condition? Then it
So-
is not called as a yogi.
Okay, so what to do in
As a
that?
yogi, sometimes we act as a non-yogi.
Okay, so somebody who is like in some kind of transitory stages, no?
That's from
Back and
most
forth.
of the
Some,
time.
okay, so that's a neophyte level. That's not a steady level. So that means one, it's not fully purified from anarthas, right? And therefore those anarthas are still drawing him back to, perform some sinful activities. So that's why one has to elevate himself as fast and as efficient as possible, because he might be drawn back again. So one should not allow that. One should not allow to be covered again. So that's why it's better to become sincere as much as possible, even though one might not have that adhikar. But that is possible in association. We have to have a proper association. Otherwise, on our own, our senses will drag us down. So in association, it's easier, because then you get some encouragement, impetus, inspiration. So that's why it's better to be here than being at home and listening. Better to come here, have some association. And here in temple also doing some service, which will purify us. It's way different. It's way different. Otherwise, yes, our old habits may drag us down. If they're not fully purified, they will tempt us again. That's mind's nature. It'll remind you, remember, what about that? It wasn't so bad, why not doing it again? But what were the consequences? Mind is not going to inform you about that. That's intelligence job. But intelligence is covered by that crazy mind at that point and overpowered. So that's why we get intelligence. If we don't have it, we'll get it from someone else. And that's why association is very important. Okay? Yes?
In this verse, it is said, he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, what is the significance of this?
Where is that? He is a perfect yogi.
Like in the translation.
Yeah, but he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, he's comparing all of those others to himself, no? All these others are happy and unhappy.
So like he was unhappy previously before coming to Krishna consciousness, and now he's happy, so he's trying to be good.
Yeah, he knows what is everyone's, but he has his own. Prabhupada mentions he has experience. Where is that in the purport somewhere? By dint of his personal experience. He has experience. He has gone through that also. Everybody goes through the same process. There's nothing new. So he knows what everybody else is going through as well. And therefore he also knows how to help them. Okay, then we'll stop here and we distribute the special Mahaprasadam we've brought. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.